Humor is weird. Think about it. You can make a noise with your face and completely change another person's mood. That's basically a superpower. Scientists believe laughter evolved as a social tool, a way for humans to bond, build trust, and strengthen relationships, which makes sense. If somebody makes you laugh, you usually like them more. Unless they punch you right after. Humans can be complex, but humor is social glue. It's one of the fastest ways for humans to connect. Even animals seem to have primitive versions of laughter. Chimpanzees make laughter-like sounds while playing. Researchers have found that rats make chirping noises when they're tickled, which means somewhere on Earth is a scientist who spent years earning degrees only to end up professionally tickling rats. Life comes at you fast. The roots of laughter may go back millions of years, but humans took things further. Because humans don't just laugh. We create humor. We understand sarcasm, irony, wordplay, absurdity. We can laugh at things that aren't even real. We can laugh at concepts. Entire careers have been built around convincing strangers to laugh. Some of them are called comedians, some of them are called politicians. Humor may have helped our ancestors survive, not because it made them stronger, but because it made them closer. The funniest guy in the tribe wasn't necessarily the best hunter, but if a mammoth stepped on Steve, he was probably the first guy saying, well, Steve's not going to be late tomorrow because of the being dead thing, and suddenly morale was back. The problem is, we'll probably never know what the first joke actually was. Humor existed long before writing, which means the first joke disappeared thousands of years before anyone thought to record it. But we can make some guesses. Imagine life 30,000 years ago, no internet, no TV, no movies, no video games, no music streaming, no sports, no memes, no YouTube. At sunset, your entertainment options were basically fire, rock, and that idiot Steve. If somebody could consistently make people laugh, they weren't just funny. They were Netflix without the chill part. The first jokes were probably physical. Funny faces, funny voices, exaggerated impressions, people falling over in an embarrassing way. We imagine ancient humans discussing survival, philosophy, and the mysteries of existence, and sure, but one of them absolutely tripped over a log, made a funny yelp, and everybody laughed. In fact, the first prank may have happened before civilization itself. One caveman points behind another, the second caveman turns around. Nothing is there. The first caveman laughs. The second caveman gets annoyed. Humanity has now invented trolling. Congratulations, civilization was doomed from the start. As civilizations developed, people finally started writing things down, which means we can actually see what our ancestors found funny. One ancient Egyptian's joke tells of a bored pharaoh. His advisors suggest filling a boat with young women dressed only in fishing nets and sending him fishing. That's the joke. The Greeks loved comedy. They mocked politicians. They mocked philosophers. They mocked celebrities, which means democracy lasted approximately 6 minutes before somebody started making fun of it. One surviving Greek joke tells of a scholar who was drowning. A passerby asks, "If I save you, what will you give me?" The scholar replies, "I'll tell everyone how brave you are." The joke is that the scholar was broke. 2,000 years later, and content creators are still hearing variations of this exact conversation. Ancient Greece invented philosophy, democracy, and apparently unpaid collaborations. The Romans loved insults, loved practical jokes, loved making fun of people. Honestly, if you dropped a Roman into social media, he'd probably adapt immediately. One Roman joke tells of a man visiting a doctor. He says, "Doctor, whenever I wake up, I'm dizzy for half an hour." The doctor replies, "Then wake up half an hour later." That's the joke, and honestly, I've laughed at worse than that. What's crazy is that somebody actually preserved this joke. At some point, a Roman heard it and thought, we need future generations to hear this. Then came the Middle Ages, an era famous for castles, plagues, and generally having a rough time. Yet people still love jokes. One medieval joke, what is the difference between a tax collector and a thief? The answer, a thief eventually stops taking your money. Humanity really doesn't change much. Court jesters also became popular during this time. Imagine having a job where your entire purpose is making the king laugh. Not your friends, not strangers, the king, one of the few people who could legally decide he doesn't like your face anymore. Imagine bombing a joke and hearing, "This guy sucks, I bet it'll be funny to cut his head off." I'd suddenly become a very serious historian. And finally, after thousands of years of human history, what is the oldest recorded joke ever discovered? This is it, humanity's oldest surviving joke. You! Kidding. The joke comes from ancient Sumer around 1900 BC, over 4,000 years ago. Researchers translated ancient clay tablets, pieced together forgotten languages, dedicated entire careers to understanding the ancient world, and eventually discovered this. Something which has never occurred since time immemorial. A young woman did not fart in her husband's lap. Humanity's oldest recorded attempt at comedy? A fart joke? Not a joke about kings. Not a joke about war. Not a joke about gods. A fart joke. Researchers spent decades uncovering the secrets of a lost civilization, only to discover that ancient people were basically middle schoolers. The more I learn about history, the less mysterious ancient people become. We imagine them as wise figures staring into the stars, contemplating the universe, and some of them probably were. But one of them also heard a fart joke and thought, this must be preserved forever, and somehow he was right. Because 4,000 years later, it's being told in a YouTube video. The truth is, we'll probably never know what the first joke ever told was. That moment happened long before history, long before writing, long before civilization. It's gone forever, lost somewhere in prehistory. Maybe it was a funny face, maybe it was a prank, maybe somebody slipped in mammoth poop, maybe somebody farted while running from wolves. But whatever it was, it worked. One person laughed, then another, and eventually laughter became part of what makes us human. Because whether you're sitting around a prehistoric campfire, living in an ancient city, or doom scrolling at 2 in the morning when you should absolutely be sleeping, humor connects us across cultures, across centuries, across entire civilizations, and somewhere, tens of thousands of years ago, one human told the first joke and another human laughed, and humanity has been laughing at dumb things ever since. Who knew?